What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of the Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. Now, on today's show, I got another great guest who was just on, but I had to have him back on the show. But first, we're going to talk about the Last Dance documentary. The 3 and 4 just came out yesterday, so me and my guest will talk about that, and then we'll also get into the NFL draft. Talk about my guest, Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll talk a bit about my Giants and a little bit more. So let me introduce my guest. He was on the last podcast. He's been on many podcasts. Friend of the show, one of my biggest supporters, my man Mondo. What's going on, brother?
Hey, my man. How are you? I'm good.
Good.
Just going through this stuff. Just happy to be talking with you again, and let's get into it.
Yes, sir. So let's get right into it. The Last Dance documentary, episodes 3 and 4 were just went on yesterday. Obviously, this is one of those highly anticipated documentaries that I can remember, to date. But a lot of craziness is going on, especially the last 2 episodes where we saw a lot of, Dennis going crazy. Obviously, you probably know a lot of the stuff that's going on, just by, people telling us, stuff about these Bulls teams. But has anything stood out to you that you just were like, oh wow, I had no clue that happened?
Yes and no. I'll say this. I didn't know Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were that close as friends.
Yeah.
I did not know that, and also the fact of the matter that how much of a stern teammate Michael Jordan was.
Yes.
I didn't know how to the point he was going to be with his teammates. You hear all the things. Yeah, Michael Jordan was great. His team was great, but Jordan really got the best out of his teammates just by, simple sayings on the bench, stuff at practice. It's really a sight to see, because guys like myself, I was a young kid. I saw that the tail end of Michael Jordan. So this is great to watch. It really is.
Yeah, and it just gives us something. Obviously, something to watch with not a lot of things obviously going on, and it just goes back to the history of this team, this legendary team that everyone hears from all the old heads. Oh, this is the best team that we've ever seen, and it just gives younger viewers just an opportunity to see that okay, this team was really good, but it wasn't just a whole bunch of stars. Yeah, you had Jordan. You had Pittman, but you had Rodman, but the rest of the supporting cast wasn't. We're not talking about even above average players. We're talking about average players, but just Jordan just put that mentality on them, and it's like, yo, you're just as important. Paxton hitting big shots, Steve Kerr hitting big shots, Horace Grant, guys like Will Perdue and Luke Longley and guys, Tony Kukoc, who's a solid player, who probably could have been a star somewhere else, but played his role perfectly, as the bench dude. But it just gives us a better outlook of this legendary team and stories that we've heard. I've heard stories, but I didn't know about a lot of I didn't know Pippen signed a 7-year deal for what, $16 million.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that.
Outrageous. Me neither.
That's crazy. Like Scottie Pippen was like the seventh. He was 7th highest paid player in his team. That's just insane. And Scottie was arguably one of the best players in the league, especially when Jordan left. He was one of the best players.
Yeah.
So it gives us, and then just the crazy how Jerry Krause, and his ego got in the way of keeping going with the dynasty, because let's say he keeps the team they're the defending champions. You're supposed to defend your crown. They go into that next season, they're defending champions, but it's a completely different roster,
Totally.
it gives us it's just fun to look back and see things that you may have not remembered or just didn't know why that happened, and it's so far it's been a tremendous documentary.
It has. It really has. And the one thing also to answer your question also, um, looking at the NBA now and prior in the 20s era, before after the 90s, I can't get my head wrapped around that the mid-range game was so important in the 90s
Oh my
and the
god.
low post game. And it makes you feel like, wow, these guys are so appreciative of the big man and like using the post and getting to the lane, making a layup, getting layups, easy high percentage shots. We don't see that anymore. You
Oh my
know,
God, that's
it's
the lost
crazy,
art. The lost art of the mid-range shot, man. I mean,
insane.
lost art of the big man. It's another thing, obviously we know that obviously, you know, different eras of basketball, but it's just crazy to look back at that and you see games the Bulls are in a tight game. It's 78 to 69,
Yeah, right.
70, or it's a 84, 88 game. And just the pace of play just being so slow and methodical, and just every shot meant something, because the
Yes,
3-point game wasn't, you see a lot of people like, oh, Jordan couldn't shoot threes. It wasn't that Jordan couldn't shoot threes. It wasn't a part of the game yet. People didn't take, you know, how many threes, you could shoot 43, 50, 60 threes. I mean, Houston can shoot 60 threes in a game,
right.
where the Bulls probably didn't take 60 threes in a month, you know?
Yeah,
It's just crazy.
exactly.
It's just crazy to see how the game was played back then, and then looking now, and you can compare eras. And that's what we've seen a lot on Twitter is which era LeBron, and it always comes up with
Oh,
LeBron and stuff, which gets
oh,
annoying. Just enjoy a doc. This is not about LeBron. It's not about. This is about a team that's one of the greatest teams of all time, and then seeing all the
yeah.
dysfunction and how they actually worked around it and won championships. But
Just, you're right. Just appreciate what history was.
exactly. Just appreciate. Don't let eras go. LeBron could play. Just enjoy the documentary, guys. We don't have to
Please,
keep
yeah.
debating LeBron versus Jordan. If you think LeBron's the greatest of all time, that's cool. But this documentary is about showing this is why people say Jordan is the greatest of all time, and
Right.
showing the behind the scenes of the greatness. And that's what it's
Yeah.
about. It's about seeing how dysfunctional everything, how much dysfunction was going on, and yet they still won championships.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
still won championships, and I think this helps Phil Jackson, his coach, because sometimes you'll get people saying Phil, oh well, I could coach Jordan and I can coach Shaq and Kobe, and it's like no, it's not that simple.
Right.
It's not that simple because let's face it, Jordan before Jack's Phil got there was a dynamic scorer, kind of like how Harden is now, but
Right.
just didn't have that team
Yeah.
dynamic. And the same thing with Shaq and Kobe. I mean
True.
Shaq and Kobe, yeah, Shaq and Kobe. Before they got, and both those Lakers teams, they didn't win championships before Phil got there. It just can't
Nope.
be coincidence that he gets there and they win. It's something. So that's I think that's going to show that Phil is really one of the greatest coaches of all time.
Oh, for sure. I can't argue that at all. I mean, seeing what I saw there and his uh team bonding experiences with the Bulls at practice and, getting them together as one unit and really turning it up a notch is very, very what's the word I'm looking for? I guess to use the word appreciative because you don't see it anymore. And you know what? Shame on the players too, because a lot of the players now don't want to be coached, kind of like
No,
bigger than the game almost.
yeah,
If Jordan, Kobe, and Shaq can do it, and Pippen, and all these other egos on their floor,
mm-hmm.
so be it.
Yeah,
I mean, but you're gonna lose games and you're gonna lose titles, and your legacy is gonna be tarnished.
yeah.
So, something to think about.
But it's also crazy to look back. Like obviously, today's game is clearly it's a player driven league.
Yes.
It's about the player. When you think of the NBA, you think of the players. Back in the day, it was the team. When you
Mm-hmm.
when you think the '90s, you usually think about all right, the '90s Knicks. the '90s Pacers, the '90s Bulls, the '90s Jazz, the Sonics of the '90s. You think of the team, you think about all the teams that Jordan had to go through, the Pistons, all those teams where now it's more of a player thing. When you think of Phoenix, you think of Devin Booker.
Yeah.
It's more player and yes, there's way more talent in the league now than there was back then. And that's a
Sure.
fact. There's so much great talent, but that doesn't mean that they're impact players. Today's
Correct.
game, everyone's scoring 20 points per game, Hell, Marcus Morris led the Knicks in scoring with 20 a game. But
Yeah.
but they didn't win jack squat. So you're scoring 20 points per game and it doesn't mean anything. So, yeah, you're all cool. You score 20 a game, but that doesn't mean anything. You're not getting wins. It's like the Andrew Wiggins
Absolutely
thing.
right.
24 points a game for Andrew Wiggins, losing 50 games. Who gives it? Who cares?
Yeah.
But back in
Right.
the day, it's about the team. And even Jordan, you saw Jordan was averaging 36, 37 a game. Phil gets there. He's still averaging his points, but it's obviously a lot less, and he's doing a lot more, facilitating. It's more about the triangle, and that's where we incorporate the triangle offense. An offense where now people, ridicule it because of how everything went with Phil Jackson and the Knicks and how he tried to implement it with a team that
Yes.
just didn't fit. But the triangle can really, it could be complicated, but yet effective, super effective.
Yes. Totally. If you buy in.
If you buy in, if you understand the triangle, it works to a T.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Totally. He knew what he was doing. That's for sure.
He's just, and his ability to work with egos. I mean, I wonder if you put Phil Jackson into now's NBA, would he last? Because like I said, today's coaches aren't allowed to do what Phil Jackson was allowed to do now. Unless you're
No.
Popovich or one of those coaches that just, no matter what, you're good. Most coaches will get chewed out and spit out like that.
Yeah. It's bad, man. It's bad.
It's crazy how much the game's changed. But this documentary it's definitely been must watch. It's definitely been so much fun to watch. Dennis Rodman going crazy. The fact that they let Dennis Rodman go to go to Vegas, he got load management. Imagine trying to pull that off now.
Oh, forget it.
The media would kill Dennis Rodman to today's NBA.
Destroy
him in today's league. Imagine him taking a personal day, not because he had to go handle family business or he just needs his body to rest, because he had to go to Vegas. Go in Vegas and go party.
Unbelievable, man.
And they were cool with it until Jordan was like, all right, bro, it's time. We need you. And he comes back and practice in pajamas.
Oh, man.
It's that.
I remember they had the clip on the practice floor, too. And I think Jordan said, Phil, don't even try. You're lucky you got his body here at practice. That was funny. I was laughing pretty hard at that one.
It's crazy how they could pull that off for a guy.
Yeah.
But Jordan was like, yo, let him take some time off, get him back, and let's go at it. And that wouldn't even be a thought. Imagine it would be a thought. Not even LeBron can help do that. If whoever he wanted that knew that could help, if let's say Markieff Morris said, and they really needed Markieff Morris, and he was like, man, I just need to go to Vegas for a few days. Even if LeBron would go up to management, they'd be like, get out of here. I don't care if you're LeBron James. We're not going to let him go on the Vegas binge.
Right. Seriously.
It's crazy. That was one thing I was like, wow. I knew Dennis was wild, but I didn't know he was like, I'm not coming to work because I'm going to go to Vegas. And Jordan was like, all right, cool. Give him a few days, Phil. Phil was cool with it. And everybody was cool with it. And then guess what? They won championship. So it worked.
Yeah.
It worked. But Dennis Rodman's one of the few, probably the only guy that can get away with that. Because you were going to get maximum effort when he played.
Yeah, totally. You're right.
Yeah. This documentary is it's going to get good next week. It's going to talk about a lot of Horace Grant situation. He goes to all that trauma they had. So the next two episodes are definitely going to be good, and we're going to get some Kobe cameo. So that might be a
Yeah,
little emotional to
that's
watch. But
totally it. Exactly.
tremendous doc so far. It's definitely been great. But
It's filling the void for sure.
yeah, for sure, and just seeing everyone just react to the stories and just the how great this team, how great these Jordan teams were, and one thing I also like that he always when he talks about himself, he always brings up Pippen. So that just shows that he was a leader. I know I'm sure he was definitely tough to play with, but to be great, you have to. I mean, we've heard this about Kobe Bryant. We hear this about LeBron James. We hear this about most great players that they got a little craziness to them. But in order to get to that level of greatness, you gotta have a little cuckoo-ness in your head,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
I will
But
say this
yeah, go.
before you switch.
Yeah.
Every time we talk about Jordan, and I say we, I mean the media on television providing us entertainment about sports. Do we really have to cut to Isaiah Thomas every time we talk about Jordan about how upset he is still?
Oh man. Oh, that's another thing. It's
I'm
the
I'm
beef
legit
they
done
had.
with Isaiah.
Yeah, I think most people are a bit done with Isaiah. I've been done with Isaiah, but
My goodness,
I have other reasons why I'm done with Isaiah with the whole Nick
as you
stuff.
should.
But it just it's like I said, it's okay to say LeBron's the greatest of all time. I'm so cool with that. But
Sure.
I feel like with him and Lambeer and a lot of those Pistons dudes, I feel like it comes at with it just comes with a lot of salt for some reason. And I don't know why they're so bitter over Jordan. They beat him more than they lost to him. I mean, they
Exactly.
took him out a lot. So he beats you once, and then you don't shake hands. Like that whole shaking hand, I don't like that. I don't like that, and I don't like when teams don't do that because whether in defeat or in victory, you have to show respect.
Right.
Especially in defeat.
Yeah.
If you lose, you go shake the other team's hand and you show them respect. You know,
Yeah. And you do it with your head up.
you do it with your head up. Don't pout. You don't have to go there and give a big hugs and stuff. Just show respect. Hey man, you played a hell of a season. We've all done it. We've all got our ass kicked in games, but you know what? You
Yeah.
still go to our team. Hey man, y'all do y'all thing tonight, man. And it's all respect. You know,
Yeah.
even in games where it's comes down to the last, you losing the buzzer beat. I've lost the buzzer beat, and I still, man, that's great. Good shot, man. Great game.
Totally.
Championship games. You just show respect. I never like that Pistons walking. I know they said, well,
The
the
torch
Boston
being passed.
Celtics did
Yeah.
it, blah blah. But at least the Celtics shook hands and stuff.
Yeah. Right.
Even though I thought that you shouldn't leave during the game. I don't care if there's 20 seconds. You wait till the clock ends, till the clock runs out, and then leave. I think that's kind of disrespectful, also.
Totally.
But as the dog barks, but Opie. But yeah, it's just a very disrespectful thing to do. Very disrespectful, and I don't like that. And that's kind of one reason why those Pistons teams, although they're great, they just always get left out of that timeline. We think the Lakers, Boston, and then we always skip them, even though they are part of the history. We always skip them because it's just something about their style of play. I mean, they didn't really. It's defense, but they were literally beating up Jordan, and other guys.
Yeah.
That style is like, okay, is it really defense or you just pound? Bill Laimbeer is not. I don't think of Bill Laimbeer to be a great player. He just beat up people. He's, but that's you can get away with it those times. But I just that always rubs me the wrong way with Isaiah and his. It always seems it's not genuine. It just feels like he's just like, let me just stick it to Jordan one more time. I don't care, but whatever. That's
Totally. But I had to say that. I had to get that off my chest. I'm tired of hearing it.
I'm tired of it. If I don't see Isaiah again, I'm straight. Yeah, he's one of the best point guards of all time, one of the best logo men, but I'm tired of you, Isaiah. But
sure, just leave it off the screen.
Yeah, just leave it off. Enough with the bitterness, Isaiah.
Yeah,
the
agreed.
Dream Team thing. Nobody liked you. It wasn't just Jordan, and nobody liked you. That's
right.
why you're on the Dream Team. Nobody liked you. It wasn't just Jordan or Pippen. Nobody liked you. But whatever. No more Isaiah. And as I'm looking at the screen right now, they're talking about Isaiah and Jordan Field. But whatever. I want to talk about. Let's talk about the NFL draft. That was
Oh,
another.
let's do it. Let's do it.
It was
I'm
a great
sorry.
weekend. You know, it was one of the better weekends that we had in sports.
Long while.
Obviously, with the documentary and the draft. But
Mhm.
the draft happened. Obviously, it was a way. The draft is completely different, virtual, which honestly I kind of liked. I like kind of the feel of it. It was pretty cool to see everything. But I want to talk about one thing specific, and your Eagles.
Oh
And
yeah.
you know, obviously, we talk about this countless times. We knew they were going to take a receiver in round one. Whether they
Mhm.
took the one we thought, you know, or who we think it would fit is different. You know, we thought they would take Justin Jefferson. Obviously, they went a different route, and the Brandon Ayuk, right? Am I correct? Let me just
Jalen Rager. They took.
Jalen Rager. Ayuk went somewhere else. I always get confused with those two for some reason. I don't know why, but they Jalen Rager out of TCU.
Yes.
But round two, their pick comes up. Their pick comes up, and they take a quarterback, Jalen Hurts, out of Oklahoma. And obviously, every Twitter, everyone went crazy.
Oh
So,
man, it was.
your thoughts on the pick? Was it the right pick? Do you understand the pick? You have had a few days to digress
Yeah.
over this. What's your thoughts on the Eagles taking a quarterback?
Well, you know what's funny? I think me and you were talking offline about this and off the pod. That I actually said I would love for the Eagles to get Jalen Hurts, and I think I told you that in a Twitter response of some sort, and we were both like, yeah, that'd be great, and I didn't think it'd be a 53,
Nah.
you know, and now looking at it, I don't understand the value
Nah.
side of it at 53 because it's a second round pick, and they didn't want to trade 21 and 53 with Atlanta to get CeeDee Lamb
Yeah,
because
I didn't get
you're
that.
telling me you want Jalen Hurts and Jalen Rager instead of CeeDee Lamb and a third round pick that you can get.
Yeah. Yeah, I question that.
Doesn't make sense.
I question that big time. I agree with you. I didn't get that. I thought listen and you know we went back and forth on Twitter. Once we got to 14, and then I'm like, oh, the Eagles are good. They should trade up to get CeeDee Lamb. I think that's
Yeah, yeah,
the number 2 receiver is still on the board, and you probably won't have to give up as much as he was at 10 or 11. You know,
insane, man.
so why not move up, get your guy that you probably, you know, I'm going to assume that he was probably 1 or 2 on their board as far as receiver. You
For
need a
sure.
receiver, so why not go after? But
Uh,
I just don't get the. I'm not high on Jalen Hurts at all. He
oh no.
was he was maybe my 6th or 7th rated quarterback.
Okay,
So I just didn't get it, especially in round 2. I did not think he was a round 2 quarterback. I was
that's
thinking
fair.
more round 4, round 3 or 4. If he took him round 3 or 4, I think I can understand that more. But round 2,
Yeah,
now you're asking for people to get a little riled up and be like, okay,
yeah, yeah.
if you take a quarterback in round, obviously you take a quarterback in round 1, he's expected to be a starter right away. You take
Correct.
one in round 2, you you still think that guy is going to be a starter down the line, you know, unless
Yes.
you wouldn't take him. I know, and it brings up the other point is Carson Wentz and the injury stuff. Obviously, I think like we said before, like we talked before, you know, on Twitter, his injury stuff has kind of get overblown as far as injury prone. To me, injury prone is someone who just gets lingering injuries after lingering injuries, is always missing games here, games there, games here, games here for long
Yes.
portions.
Yes.
That hasn't really been the case in Wentz. He's had unfortunate injuries.
Correct.
You know, he got the concussion last year. You know,
Yeah,
and that was a bad hit by Clowney. You know, just a bad hit he took from Clowney, and
that's
then
it.
he missed some games. You know, obviously, you know, missing the year before that. You know, with I don't remember the injury he had when they played the Saints. I don't remember the injury he had. Maybe you can refresh my mind with the injury, but he was
That
hurt
was
there too.
was was that the game where we got absolutely destroyed?
No, the Saints game is because Nick Foles started the playoff game.
Oh,
They won the
okay.
game versus the Bears, where the Bears missed a field goal, and then they played the Saints where
Yes, yes.
you guys were
That was
dropping things
that,
like crazy.
that was when Carson came back from his ACL injury, and then he had at the end of that tail end of the season through the playoffs. Well, to get to the playoffs, he had the fracture in his back.
Yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah, so he had that injury, and then
Yeah,
he missed the year before where he was going to win the MVP. He tore
correct.
his ACL.
And correct me
Just
if I'm wrong.
talk to me about the injury stuff and.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think, like you said, I don't think he's. I don't want to say this either. I don't think he's injury prone. I think it's just been unfortunate breaks for Carson.
Yes, agreed.
But he's had like maybe one really serious injury with the ACL and the whatever else he tore in his knee in LA against the Rams.
Yeah.
And go figure, the guy goes back out there and throws a touchdown pass to Alshon Jeffrey on the torn leg.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
he's a gamer, man.
Yeah,
like you know how I am with Wentz, even though he's an Eagle, and
I appreciate
I don't rock with you, but you know how it was with Carson Wentz. He should have been the number one pick.
Wow, well, that's high praise.
I said that I wasn't crazy about Goff. Wentz should have been number one. I don't care that he played for a Division I AA school. He had all the intangibles. He made every throw. He just had it in South Dakota. He won, which no matter where you play, if you win, that translates. So yeah, I always like Carson Wentz.
Well, listen, I thought the trade to get to Carson was big also because I wasn't people tend to forget that the Philadelphia Eagles came from Sam Bradford that year.
Yeah.
And to understand that we traded to get to the number 2 pick to invest in this guy, Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson love Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
They're very invested in Carson Wentz. Now, to get back to the Jalen Hurts pick, now my inbox was flooded because of the city I live in, and they love to see a controversy with all my teams that I root for because I guess apparently I talk a lot of smack. I don't think I do, but I think it's it's just banter that I throw around, and I think I know my team as much as the next guy. Mm-hmm. But everyone's like, oh my God, is this a controversy? Is Wentz out the door? Trouble in Philly? All the question marks. And I answered everyone this question. I said, if you can name me my backup quarterback currently before this pick, I'll let you have it. No one said Nate Sudfeld was my backup.
No, he can't be the backup quarterback.
Exactly.
He can't. Because you saw in the playoff game this year against Seattle last season. When
Josh McCown's out there.
It's Josh
45-year-old
who's a part-time backup NFL backup quarterback, because he coaches, a lot too. So you have a backup that's not really he should not have been in the NFL last year, Josh McCown.
No.
He's a tremendous backup as far as, helping you prepare. And I know Wentz loved him, but as far as actually getting on the field and playing, there's no way he should have been allowed to play because he did not have it at all.
No, and it's funny, go figure. He comes in, he's making plays, he's throwing the ball, he's slinging it, and he almost leads us down to a touchdown.
Yeah, and that's the crazy. Like, even though, like I said, like, he shouldn't have been, but yet he still somehow got whatever he had left in that 40-year-old body and, gave it all he had that game. Whatever he literally left it, whatever he had on the field. Totally. But that's not a viable option. That should not have been the case.
Exactly.
You got to have a better option. And it's going to be interesting what they do. Obviously, I think with this pick, quarterbacks are always going to be overvalued, especially in the draft. They're always going to get picked higher because they're quarterbacks. But
sure,
and especially in the second round, you expect the guy to be a starter. But to have a backup quarterback is essential. It's
big time, big time.
Because You don't want to have to go through that if Wentz gets hurt again. You want to be able to have a guy who can come in and just go. You know,
Yeah, and
and he can move. Hurts can move. You know, whether
yeah,
his arm strength is obviously a question. His downfield accuracy. There's a lot of things that like I said, I wasn't crazy about him, but you know, you need a backup quarterback. You need to have a
you
guy
did,
that you could trust to come in the game or to come in for a few games during the season
and
and do his
just
thing.
compete.
So and just compete and give you a chance. So, but
Yeah, and also I'll say this. I mean, it is what it is. If they take him at 53, I slept on it. And you know, if he's your guy, he's your guy. And if you don't think you're gonna get him again, and if you don't want to make the necessary trade to move up, then take the best player available that you think is on your board. That's
yeah,
fine. And the thing with Hurts is he has a very football savvy skill set, so he can play the game of football. That's for
yes,
sure. And also, watching his tape, he does a lot of the RPO offense that Doug
yeah,
Peterson likes to incorporate. It's going to be interesting because they want him on the field as like a utility guy too. Kind of, I keep reading Taysom Hill 2.0,
I guess you could probably use him in that Taysom Hill type of
but you
role.
know what? I don't think it's going to work. I don't know. It's gonna be tough to have both Carson and Jalen on the field together. Jalen Hurts, by the way, not Rieger. It's getting confusing.
All right,
Um,
you got to get used to that now. To Jalen's.
Yeah, we got three Jalen's on the team:
Oh yeah,
Mills,
Jalen Mills.
Rager,
Yeah,
and
yeah, Jalen
Hurts.
Mills too. Yeah, well, yeah. Like I said, that's one of the big one of the big draft moves in this draft was the Eagles taking a quarterback in round two, and
Yeah,
you know
yeah, shocked everybody.
it wasn't just the Eagles too. I mean, the Packers took Jordan
Packers,
Love.
yeah, that's a big. They traded
That
up
was shock, and they traded up.
first round.
You trade up to get a quarterback in round one. I don't know about you, but that means you want this kid to start. Maybe not this
Yeah,
year. And I don't think you take a quarterback for him to sit for 3 years like Aaron was. Like Aaron
no,
did.
no, I don't think
I
so
don't
either,
think that's viable. I don't think you could do that. But by next year, I don't
man.
know, man. That wasn't. Jordan Love is. I think people, they fall in love with his pure talent, and he went to a good situation. It's kind of like
Sure.
Patrick Mahomes, where if Patrick Mahomes had gone to another team, I don't know if he has the success he has with Andy Reid. He went to the
That's a good
perfect
point.
situation with Andy Reid.
Yeah,
It's kind of similar with Jordan Love. He goes to a situation in with Green Bay where they got they got a good young coach who knows offense. And he's got Aaron Rodgers to play in front of. So what's
yeah,
better quarterback to learn from than Aaron Rodgers?
absolutely.
Best of all time. So that's going to be interesting. But if I'm Aaron, you kind of look at the same way you went with Favre. You can't look at it
Totally.
like, all right, this kid's going to take my job. The way that Brett was kind of trying to like push Aaron to the side a little bit from like everything you hear. If Aaron, you can't reciprocate that. You can't do the same thing
No.
with Jordan. It's not his fault that he got drafted. You should be mad at management that they didn't get you receivers when there was 87 million receivers in the draft. You didn't take one that of
Yeah.
value. So don't
Right.
get you just got to keep playing your game. They took a running back at round 2, which made no sense when they have Aaron Jones and Williams. That didn't make no sense.
Yeah.
They had one of the drafts that made zero sense to me.
Yeah.
Zero sense.
Very, very big question mark there. And I was texting my future brother-in-law, and he's a big Packer fan. And he's just like, yeah, man, like I don't hate it and I don't love it.
Yeah.
But where are the smart picks? Basically, he said to me.
They had the worst draft. They had one of the worst drafts.
In recent history, I haven't. They're pretty. They get quality guys sometimes. In the draft.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They're very weird. Very
Yeah.
weird time over there.
They definitely dropped the ball this draft. This was not a good. And listen, it could be they could. It's not that they won't have the players they have won't be solid. It's just you needed a receiver to go They definitely need another receiver. They needed to get him some weapons. A tight end, and they didn't. They didn't. They drafted a tight end, but they just took a lot of projects.
Yeah,
AJ Dillon, the running back out of Boston College. I didn't get that pick. He wasn't. I think he was like my ninth running back. They could have took some other running backs.
they could
Other than
they
AJ
could have just
Dillon.
took T. Higgins.
T. Higgins, I mean, he's going to a nice Joe Burrow and T. Higgins with AJ Green. I mean, I like what Cincinnati did in the draft.
Yeah,
I like what my Giants did.
yeah,
Andrew Thomas wasn't my top tackle. He was, I think, my second or third. But he's the best run blocking offensive tackle in the draft.
and that's a
And
given.
and and it's
Knowing
not
your
that he's a
situation.
and it's not that he's a bad pass protector, but Wirfs is a little better, Willis is a little better. But I could see why they didn't take those guys because Wirfs can. A lot of people have said he's more of a guard, and Willis that's predominantly a right tackle. So now that I've got 10, I'm like, okay, I understand. I kind of get what they got, and Pro Football Focus, who I like to go to a lot, refer to a lot as far as
Hmm.
draft stuff. That was their number one tackle, so they liked it. So I kind of felt all right. Then we took the right guy, and then just the rest of the draft. I feel like they drafted 3 linemen that could potentially be starters down the line. That's something I like. They took the best safety in the draft in McKinney.
Yeah,
Out of, out of,
McKinney's going to
out
be
of,
good.
yeah, that was a first round pick. You got him, and it reminds me of Landon Collins because
Yeah,
Landon
me
Collins is
too.
kind of similar. As far as like he should have been a first round pick, and then he
Yeah,
drops to the first pick in the second round. So that's similar. But this McKinney's a better, definitely a better cover safety than Landon. But I
yeah.
think every team in our division in the NFC East, I think the Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb. They hit,
Trevon Diggs.
Trayvon Diggs, they got in round 2, with the Redskins, they got Chase Young, so
Say no more.
that's someone we have to worry about in
Yeah,
this draft, you know, that's going to be a massive, that's a bit, he could rush the passer. So that's something all the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants got to worry about. And I think that's a major reason why Giants went full out on drafted linemen because now the
yeah. I mean,
Redskins got a
seriously.
nice solid front seven.
Yeah,
So I think most whether I know that some Eagles fans aren't happy. I read Eagles Twitter, and they wanted whether they wanted Justin Jefferson or that, but that's with all these receivers and how good they are, you know it's Jalen Reagor could still, and obviously he's a smaller guy, but he's dynamic.
yeah,
And you could use him in a lot of ways. You could use him bubble screens and stuff,
totally.
and so, and you still got Alshon Jeffrey, you still got Deshaun Jackson.
I
So
mean, predominantly too. I think having all these guys, Deshaun, Jalen Rager, all these speedsters too. They got kids from Boise State, Hightower, another guy from another school I can't think of right now, Watkins. They're all burners. They're all down the field, gone. A lot of speed, And I think it's going to open a lot of things over the middle for our number one pass catcher, Zach Ertz. People forget about a lot.
And Dallas Goedert too, man.
Yeah, Goddard too. I think, I don't think something's going to happen in the near future with those two. They're going to have to
I
get some
think
value for
one
either
of them
Ertz
one of
or
them's
Goddard.
gonna get dealt.
Yeah, and
One of them's gonna
hopefully,
get dealt, and I don't think it's Goddard.
yeah. You
Think it's
took the
Ertz
words
just
out.
because
You took the words out of my mouth, my friend. And
don't think it's Goddard has a lot of potential to be what Ertz is doing now, and he's younger, he's cheaper.
yeah,
Just
I know.
something I've been thinking about. I'm like, there's no way they can keep both.
No, there's
No
not.
way they can keep both. But if they had to pick right now, as great as Ertz has been, and what he could still do, he can still play at a high level. Obviously, he's still one of the best tight ends in the league. But Goddard, even though Goddard has some fumbleitis, he had some bad fumble last year, but he showed in the past game that he's dynamic too.
Yeah,
That he's special. He could be special too. So That's something in the maybe not this offseason, but next season they might have to pick.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Something to think about. But there's another pick before I let you, wrap this up that I loved on our side of the draft here. And I think we got a decent safety, too, from Clemson, Kevon Wallace. I think
Yeah,
he's a
yeah,
dog.
yeah. That's a good pick too.
I see him and I think about, I don't really see safety in him, though. I see him playing the kind of Cam Chancellor role at being in the in the linebacker area box, as I say,
Box safety, yeah, the box.
and just making hits and making plays and stopping guys. And I think it's a good pick. And with the loss of Jenkins, obviously, I think you had to fill that void. I just I think it was an overall good draft. I think you can't look at the value of the number of the pick. If, like I said, if that's your guy, get your guy.
Yeah,
I'm happy Hurts is an Eagle. I'm happy Wentz is an Eagle. And just whoever wears the jersey and is successful, just root for your damn team.
Mm-hmm.
Stop playing the drama filled fan. I'm not a fan of that anymore.
No.
I'm too old for it. I think, honestly.
I just think a lot of Eagles fans are just trying to go overboard. I mean,
yeah,
overall, you got two solid linebackers. You needed linebackers. Whether we don't know how good these guys, especially once you get to the middle rounds, nobody knows how good these guys are going to be.
Of course not.
It's just nobody. You got Sean Bradley. You took from Temple. I like them. I like
him too. Speed.
But Sean Bradley could be a way better player than Davian Taylor, and you drafted Taylor in the 3rd round, and Bradley.
Exactly.
We don't know. We don't know. Especially when we get to this, and we don't know if Jalen Hurts will be a future starter, or if he's out of the league in 3 years.
Exactly.
So we don't know. So people need to before we. I feel like, we've been programmed to instantly react. Oh, this guy sucked. First of all, most people who watch the draft, I doubt many of them have watched any Jalen Reagor tape.
Yeah. Right.
I doubt maybe 80% of the Eagles fans have not watched Jalen Reagor tape.
No.
So before
I'll be honest, I don't watch TCU football.
No, and most people, especially in the East Coast, are not going to watch a lot of TCU games just because they're not on TV that much. So we're not going to watch a lot of Jalen Reagor. Now, I heard of Jalen Reagor, and I watched a little bit of here. But that's just being, always watching college football and stuff. But I'm not going to also not going to tell you that I've watched every single TCU game.
Mm-hmm.
So how am I to say, well, they should have picked it's easy to say they could have picked Justin Jefferson because we watched Justin Jefferson play at a high level at LSU. But they can be like, okay, Justin Jefferson is kind of similar to what we have now. And we need another guy who's more dynamic than Justin Jefferson,
Yeah.
So and that's how. And obviously with that Jalen Hurts pick, we just want a really good backup quarterback and the guy who could come in if we need him to play. Because even though Jalen Hurts, I don't know if his upside's there, but I could be wrong too. He could be Russell Wilson for all I know.
And you know what? If that happens, and Wentz isn't the answer going forward, and he's not, he's not it. He loses a step or two, and the Eagles have to make a decision. Mm-hmm. Guess what? I'm not going to stop not being an Eagles fan.
Exactly. People go up at high end. They off the deep end, just like, oh, God, what is Howie doing? He should get fired.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, and I just wrote, are you kidding me? This guy won your Super Bowl a few years ago. Your quarterback got hurt last year. Your quarterback got hurt last year.
Yeah.
You could have won that game, and who knows what happens after that. So let's guys. You still got a good football team. Yeah, okay, you lost some guys. That's okay. You got Darius Slay. It's okay. You still got
that was the biggest need in the offseason, I think. The corner spot.
Yeah, so there's too many Eagles jumping off the the world's gonna end that they took.
Oh man, I know. And sometimes
change Carson Wentz's how he prepares.
No, if anything, people aren't looking at the bright side, where a young kid that's hungry that wants a spot might push Carson to be even better. How about we think about that first?
Yeah. It happened with Brett Favre. Everybody
Yeah,
out there, Brett Favre was got back to
yeah,
MVP level. So sometimes you just need a little. Not that Carson Wentz needs it, because he puts in the work and he's a tremendous.
right.
He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league. But sometimes you just need a little. Okay, let me just show them. Hey, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to ball out like I always do, no matter what. He threw for 4. He's the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards and not have a single guy with 500 yards receiving.
Yeah, don't say
And
that
that
too
shows you
loud.
right there that he's not the guy. People saying, "Oh, we should get rid of him." Go trade him right now. Go trade him right
Seriously,
now and tell me and talk to me after the season next year with Jalen Hurts as your starting quarterback.
exactly. Case closed.
Yeah, and let's see how good the Eagles are. We'll be talking about them with Trevor Lawrence. So
Yeah, right.
let's get rid of this talk about oh, we should trade him because he gets hurt a lot. He doesn't get hurt a lot as you. He just gets hurt. He's just gotten hurt at some pretty unfortunate times, and that's what you should look at. Not how, not that he's only missed what 6, 8 games. I mean, that's okay.
Yeah,
Donovan McNabb missed more than that.
insane, man,
So,
insane. And I don't want to hear anybody tell me again about. Sure. Let me be brief with this too. I'm very grateful for what Nick Foles did. He came in, he stepped in, he won
yes,
big
please.
games,
I
and
know
I
you're
thank
upset,
him,
please. I'm tired of
all
it.
the time. But let's not forget that the Eagles were 11-1 going into Los Angeles to play the Rams, and who was our quarterback? Carson Wentz. And without that first round bye in the playoffs, I don't think we are Super Bowl champions.
Exactly. He doesn't.
And we
Doesn't get
were
no credit for
loaded
that
that
team either.
year.
He's
We
gonna
were
be
loaded that year.
MVP.
That team was stout. Yeah.
He was the MVP to that point.
Yep.
No doubt. He was going to win the MVP. So
This year?
he was going to be the MVP that year. He was going to win.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
He was going to win MVP. Just people need to get up to just relax, guys. Carson's the guy. Don't think anything more of this Jalen Hurts thing. He'll be fine. So,
yeah.
Eagles fans need to chill. That could be a little too much.
Yes, we can.
Yes,
we can.
Much.
Yes, we
at
can.
least you're not as bad as the Cowboys fan. So I'll give you that.
No, and I appreciate you
but not as
that.
bad as Cowboys fans. But they hit a home run with CeeDee Lamb. I'm really mad that they got CeeDee Lamb. That just makes it tougher for, obviously the Giants and the Eagles. We've struggled with our cornerback, our DB of late. So, but we'll see. It's gonna be a fun. It's gonna be interesting. I think every team in this division. I've talked about this on other podcasts and just in general how this division is literally one of the toughest divisions to evaluate because I can see the Giants winning the division. I can see the Eagles finishing 4th. The same way the Eagles winning the division and the Giants finish 4th. And same thing with the Redskins. I can see it's crazy to think. I can see the Redskins winning it and finishing last. Same thing with the Cowboys finishing 1st and finishing in last.
And that's why we're the best division in football.
And that's why it's one of the best divisions in football. Even though they might not see the win total as high, but the fact that you can have every single team and you don't know where they're going to fit. It's because you just don't know. It's a crapshoot,
Yep.
And every team's improved, and every single team has improved as well season too.
Totally agree.
Cowboys
Absolutely
improved. Right. They're kind of same as Cowboys. They lost some guys to retirement stuff, but you guys improved. Redskins improved mightily. They got a good coach. Giants are improved. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how the NFC East goes. But it was a fun weekend of sports. A little bit of we got, and we talked about the previous show about the Last Dance. But Mondo, this was fun. This was a fun, to do. We did the last show and doing this show. You're definitely one of the favorite guests I have, and it's always a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you very much. And always a pleasure talking with you, whether it be, basketball, football, little rivalry with the NFC East. It's always good. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks again. And listen, everyone listening to your show, please take those safety precautions so we get back to viewing what we want to view, going out where we want to go out, and just keep being safe. And thank you for everyone out there on the front line. Again, we really appreciate it.
Yes, of course. Everyone, please be safe and all that. But so do you plan on? I know you've been kind of put your feet in the water with the podcast thing? Is there any updates on that, or do you plan on what's
Yeah. I mean,
progress going with that?
well, listen, I'm really just trying to build my clientele. I'm with obviously you guys all know from listening to the show, and Chris, you know obviously that I'm a big Brooklyn Net fan, and I was not just a Brooklyn Net fan, I was a New Jersey Net fan. So don't tell me I'm a bandwagon guy.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
day
since
one. You're day
KD,
one.
Kyrie, I got the jerseys, I got the programs that can vouch for that. But I'm trying to build my clientele with the Nets fans on Twitter, and I have a actual Nets page on Twitter now where I'm posting a couple of anytime I get a chance to. If anyone wants to follow, it's going to be
Yeah.
at BKN underscore says SAYS, and I give my takes of the realist uh, statements on the Nets, what they should do in the off season, what they have going forward, and sometimes some comic relief too, because Nets fans get a little crazy as well, just like Eagles fans. So yeah, if you want to shoot me a follow, so yeah, clientele is getting built,
There you go.
and
That's good, bro.
will I eventually go to the pod? I'd like to, but I trying to decide what I should do with either just Nets talk or, do something more diverse with football, NCAA,
Yeah.
tie it all together. But, you've been a aspiration a little bit, seeing you on, social media,
Yeah.
talking to everyone. It's fun. It, it,
Yeah.
it keeps the day going. It
Yeah.
keeps,
It's
and it keeps you on your toes.
yeah.
It's like a competition almost a little bit,
Yeah.
so,
For sure.
and the podcast community is great.
Yeah,
From
man.
what I could tell with you.
Fun.
You met a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. Networking is fun, man.
Yeah. So to be determined still. But yeah, give me a follow on that page. And if you're interested in Nets takes and stuff like that, and I'll make you laugh a little bit
There you go.
because you know, need to laugh about the NBA rumors and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Definitely a fun.
I'm a big KD supporter. So not a
Uh-oh.
big. You're gonna slander KD. You're gonna
Yeah.
slander Kyrie. I'm gonna come back.
Yep.
It's just that simple.
That's for sure. That's for sure. You'll definitely get that. But yeah, that's I know that for experience. But yeah, that's awesome. Looking forward to that. And as you grow, I'll definitely support and help you out as much as possible. But
Appreciate it.
you've been one of the best. Like I said, been a big supporter of the show, and I appreciate that tremendously.
Of
Definitely,
course.
definitely appreciate all the love.
Oh, don't have to thank me at all, man. I'm, just grew up with you. Always wanted to be in the sports stuff with you. You and I, we always had that banter. Always been opposing team rival,
Yeah,
come at each other in the street a little bit, and it was always love at the end of the day.
all love.
So
Yeah,
if all I could do is support and hop on this, and you help me get started, and who knows where we could be,
exactly.
So
We'll
one
see.
hand watches the other,
Yep, yep. But like I said again, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate all the love again. And I'm gonna post all the links. I'll post where you can find him on his Twitter, and his Nets account where he likes to talk about his Nets. But just want to reach out to people of listening. Thank you for listening to the show. It's been fun so far. To continue to produce great content. And like once again, I want to thank the guys from the Breakdown Sports for having me on the network and stuff. So we got some cool things that are in the works as far as like the NBA draft. Me and the team
Oh yeah,
over there got some things cooking up that
awesome.
for the draft NBA draft that's happening in a I don't know when it's going to happen with everything going, but when it happens, but we're going to have a lot of cool stuff, player profile, break down some players, break down, teams and what they need. So that's going to be really cool to have. So, stay tuned for that at the Breakdown Sports. Also, offtheballpodcast.com, getting big time here with the .com. I was so hyped when I got the .com. But
That's great, man.
offtheballpodcast.com, you can find a lot of good content there. Write some articles there. Hopefully, I can get you Mondo to write some stuff.
Oh,
with the
wow.
Nets or NBA or whatever. I don't really. I'm not going to just keep it. About my teams. I'll anything that's gonna be a good read is gonna be cool with me. So we'll talk more about that. We can help out there with the website and some cool stuff there. But right, but yeah, offtheballcast.com. You could go on off the ball podcast on every podcast platform. Name no matter what podcast platform we're on it. Uh, social media, Off the Ball Pod on Instagram, on Twitter. Off the Ball Podcast is on Facebook. We're on everything. YouTube, I'm revamping the whole YouTube. Just got a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. So that's it, man. This is fun. We're gonna, definitely gonna have you again on the podcast again, Mondo, as usual. Great guest. But guys, thank you for listening. Mondo, thank you for being on the show. Check out to this podcast, and we did another podcast where we did the redraft, the 2015 draft. That was a fun show. So, guys, take care. Stay safe. Stay safe. Please be safe. Mondo, you be safe, my brother.
Thank you, my man. You as well.
You guys, take care, guys. Peace.